once you're unstuck and can finish the story, that's it, right? That's it? You're all done? Finished? So, Rob, do you want to start with what's your rewrites and editing process?
Okay, yeah. So what I do, again, to talk about, I want things to be achievable. So often as I go through, I might just make comments in my document and, Rob, do this later. Later me hates that. But early me loves it because it allows me to finish. So my next 2 drafts are mostly taking those notes, which might be like insights about the character, and just feeding them in, writing them in, filling them out. So not only is the story a better story because it's got all those little extra things I've learned, but also then just going over and like smoothing, like when you've got a cake and you smooth the icing. So then it logically and feels nice as it all connects and things go crazy in that proper order. So that's, the approach I take for those.
Good analogies, yeah.
Maybe I'm hungry, I don't know.
You're doing a lot of food analogies.
It's great.
Yeah, the self-editing, I guess my 2 points would be plot twists. You can just go back and add in the clues, right? If you've got a plot twist that happens at the end, you can go, oh, well, at this point I could kind of hint that this is going to happen. And then everyone goes, wow, she's so smart, she must have did that on purpose. Yeah, sure did. If this is what your first draft is, just to get the story out of your head. It's not going to be perfect. My second point would be put that story aside for at least a month. At least. Just leave it. Go back to it with fresh eyes. The edits you'll do between that first and second lot after leaving it those few weeks will be substantial.
It's largely because you're too close to it at that point in time. Like, I can even when I've done like a copy edit, I'll like there'll even be some things that the proofreader will find, because after being involved so deep in a copy edit, I won't necessarily see the mistakes on the second go, but going back and reading it afterwards, you can then pick up and go, dude, that was meant to be this there, not that there. Like, you can pick up on those sorts of things that you don't necessarily notice straight away.
Yeah. So I usually do my first draft handwritten, and if you've ever seen any pictures of mine, it has a bit here, and then it's got A, and then down here will be B, and then up there will be C, and I muck around. So I usually do the rewrite. I say it's best to rewrite from beginning to end, but some of them, depending on my health, I'll do a couple of chapters and then do that, and then do another couple of chapters. I do a lot of murder mysteries, so I've got a lot of clues. So I'll go, needs clue here, possibly gun in room, whatever, and work it out later. And so I'll do the rewrite. I'll come back and do research. So I'll come up with something. I'll go, I have to research that later. Because if I go down researching it now, I'll go down a rabbit hole. It can sometimes take me days for like a paragraph. It's really sad. And then I usually do a couple of rewrites. So I usually do about 3 to 4 rewrites. Then my absolutely lovely dear heart, who reads an awful lot and in genres I write, he does the first read through. So we'll talk about alpha readers later. And he will go, okay, you've mentioned this and you haven't hooked it up here. So he will pick up things like that. So it's a bit like a structural edit.
Yeah.
Then I go back and I rewrite it again several times. Then I edit it. Then I get an editor. Always, I believe in not doing your final edits yourself, getting someone else to do them for the same reason. You will miss things. Big, obvious things that you totally miss because in your head it's happening, but it's not on the paper. And
teleporting characters.
Yes.
Who just appear somewhere.
And they suddenly they're there, or someone who said them this, and suddenly they don't do this, and and then often I have 1 or 2 beta readers who read that fine through, and sometimes I'll rewrite, so I end up doing several rewrites, and I actually change from Word to Scrivener because it looks different and you will find mistakes when you do that. Some people will actually do Word, the writing to speech, and they will hear the mistakes. So, yeah.
I think you read something out to you.
Yeah.
You'll immediately pick something up who's listening. If you say it weird, you're like,
well, that dialogue sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes our oral skills, that's what we pick up far before we learn to read.
I do a lot of murder mysteries, so I do watch that. You know the clues. Sometimes you know what it is, but sometimes you have to come. This is a great idea here for a clue. Then you've got to go back and find out where it has to fit in. So yeah, that happens a lot.
I'll say I worked in the media for a number of years, and I work with a lot of professional word people who started on novels that they never finished because they thought they couldn't write fiction, but really what they were doing was writing a first draft and expecting it to be a final manuscript. And I can't impress enough upon you how important the rewrite is, because literally that's where all the magic, all the tying the bits together that make it look like this fluid piece of work that you'd thought out from the start, which said it's impossible for all that stuff to happen in the first draft. Set expectations for it's not, and some of them you intend, some of them you magically find in your first draft. You go, oh, I see a theme here that I didn't really realise about my own work. And then you see it, then you can go back and seed it imperfectly throughout the book with intent. But there's no way you can pick all this up when you're doing your first draft. So you just got to go, my first draft is my crack draft to get it down there, and the magic happens in this part, the rewrite. And identifying, being able to step outside of your own, say they're not my words, just read them like they're someone else's, and identify all those threads, and then go and seed around that accordingly to really create your themes, set up your moments, improve the emotes, find those character lines, all that sort of stuff is a rewrite job, basically.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett said the first draft is just you telling yourself the story.
So,
I like that.